What's up, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, gods and goddesses? Today, I want to touch on the things that are taking place in America with the homeless and homelessness. The question is: should the homeless be criminalized? There's been a bunch of laws put in place that's targeting the homeless. I'm gonna touch on a few bullets on mostly on how more cities across America are making homelessness illegal, the anti-homeless legislation. Then also I want to point out a few things uh, about America's facts about the statistics of homelessness right now. Since the Great Recession, many American cities have sought to eradicate homelessness, not so much by giving people shelter, but by making it illegal to be homeless. Citywide bans on things that homeless people need to survive are on a rise right now. According to the new report by the National Law Center of Homelessness and Poverty, you can check out their website. These are the key findings from the center survey of 187 U.S. cities since 2012. There's been citywide bans on camping in public. It's increased to about 60%. There are citywide bans on begging, like panhandling. That's increased to about 25% across America. Citywide bans on loitering, loafing, and vagrancy, being a vagabond, have that's increased up to about 35% since then. There's also citywide bans on sitting or lying down in particular public places. That's increased 43%. There's bans on sleeping in vehicles. That's increased by 119%, which almost makes it practically illegal. Uh, there's a severe shortage of affordable housing and a lack of emergency shelters options in our communities right now. That leaves the homeless people with no choice but to perform basic acts of survival in public spaces. Uh, that's per Maria Fushgrains. She did that in a press release back in 2012. Despite the lack of any available alternatives, more cities are choosing to turn to necessary conduct of homeless people into criminal activity. They they're putting laws that are threatening human constitutional rights, basically, against homeless people and all people. You know, anybody could be in that situation. They impose unnecessary costs on people. It's unnecessary costs on the city, and it solves no problems. Okay, the federal government, uh, its most recent annual head count shows that the homeless has declined 9%, which I kind of doubt. That's since 2014 of January, and about 65% of the homeless people staying in shelters on any given night of any month are unsheltered homeless declined 23% over those years also. The Law Center reports that the beggars differ from government data, nothing that is account for several factors, including that some homeless people are in jail, and that's pretty much a survey on that. There's a lot of data that suggests that homelessness is worsening, such as the recent reports from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which found that 4% increase in family homelessness from 2013 to 2014 by 60% per quarter. The Law Center also reports that several individuals they tell their stories, including that there was once a guy named Lawrence Lee from Idaho. He's actually the plaintiff in a case against the city camping ordinance, which I guess it's pretty much illegal to camp in certain parts of Boise, Idaho. He uh, he, he was pretty much in an unstable work situation, and he had nowhere to go at the time. So he towed his camper around, and he received 100 days in jail for that, and lost his tent, lost his belongings. He never received any of them back. So, do you think like something like that should happen to somebody that's in a situation that's jobless, homeless? I don't think so. I don't think it's right. In cities and states where it's pretty much illegal to be homeless across the board, we're looking at 179 communities in about 48 different states, uh, looking at it being illegal to be homeless. That's a report made by the National Coalition for the Homeless back in 2008. Okay. Now, what we're looking at is in these situations, the income and there's an income crisis and an employment crisis across the board. According to the National Law Income Housing Coalition, there's no state or local jurisdiction in this country where a person who works a minimum wage job can afford housing HUDs or the housing HUD fair market rents. Uh, the continued decline in real value of minimum wage income, as well as the dramatic reduction in income supports like temporary assistance for needy families, that's TANF, and supplemental security income, Social Security, SSI, without the subsequent availability of public housing units. Okay, that creates an increase in homelessness. 42% of homeless people nationwide work. However, the income that they earn is not sufficient enough to live in safe, affordable housing or appropriate housing, shall we say. In many cities, majority of the available emergency housing shelters cost at least $7 per night. All right, you got to still pay for shelter. Okay, the labor pools have become the trap for homeless people who must pay their shelter and take whatever income producing work is available. Now, making this transition from labor pool to living wage unemployment is the only way into a permanent, reliable housing situation. And that's not being done for anybody right now. For women and families who live in the TANF or the TANF benefits, that's the temporary aid to needy families, they must work for their monthly allowances, okay? Housing and private market, they get like 30% of their income is it's kind of like impossible to find. It's not logical. It's not possible. Now I want to point out a couple of facts about homeless, and this is pretty much they're pretty mind blowing to me. You know, once I started studying and looking into things, I couldn't understand. The numbers are overwhelming. Um, right now, like I said, there's 179 communities across America in 48 different states. That's almost every state that are facing these laws. So it's very important that we understand what's going on and the things that are being put in place for the homeless. So any like I said, anybody could end up in that situation. It's very possible. It's very logical. Okay. Um, One of the interesting facts is over 1/3 of the homeless people in America are children. In fact, the average age on a homeless person in the U.S. right now is about 9 years old. Okay. Um, this is according to the National Coalition for the Homeless. Um, the major cause for this type of situation is young kids or youth fleeing from sexual assault or they are increased risk, especially twice before the age of 12. Um, these are usually teens out on the street without a family support system. Um, they've been victims of sexual abuse, and this is like 60% of the children or the young kids that you see out there right now, and then it's already been uh, broken down that 30% of those kids usually become uh, they usually commit suicide or something like that. So it's just a domino effect to a lot of things. Okay, about half of the homeless uh, are women and children, usually fleeing from, like I said, sexual abuse. Then you have the women fleeing from domestic abuse. All right. Um, then would you prefer them to stay home? I don't think so. Domestic violence is one of the leading causes of homelessness among women right now. And then when they leave, of course, they take their children. The children go with them. According to the Thurston County Homeless point in time census report in 2013. They did a study on fleeing domestic abuse, and usually they found out that when those families left, or those wives left, or girlfriends left, they didn't have anywhere to go. It was just time for them to leave and get out of the situation. All right. Now, most people that are homeless for less than 2 months, this is another interesting fact. In fact, 2/3 of the homeless are those particular people. Okay, they're on the street within 2 months, according to a 2007 report in a National Symposium of Homelessness Research. It reveals that stereotypes that are most of the homeless are bogus. It's that that they're way too lazy to pull themselves together or get out of the situation that they're in. Now, what I'm trying to point out is that if they're given opportunities, that we probably wouldn't have as much homeless people, because 2/3, like I said, of the people that end up homeless are only on the streets for 2 or 3 months, or approximately a max of 6 months at the most. Okay. Another interesting fact, which is one of the most mind-blowing facts to me, is that up to 25% of the homeless people are employed. They have jobs. The general public, the GP. Okay, about 1/4 of homeless people, if you ask them, hey, and they say, why don't you get off the streets, get a job? They'll probably say, I already have a job. You know what I mean? See, what this statistic shows is that getting a job is only part of the battle, okay? Getting off the streets is another. The cost of being homeless is staggering right now, okay? If you go check out William Bonney's argument on that, she noted that suddenly after finding himself homeless one time in 2009, his roommate's rent checks bounced, and he never went without a full-time income during this period of homeless, okay? But it took him months before he could save up enough money to get into a new place, all right? So that's an interesting story. Check out William Body, and he did something on just the basic opportunity and cost, okay? Now, another interesting fact is many people that become homeless, they think they have they already have a bad cloud over their head that they're junkies or drug addicts. Per another census report that was done back in 2003, is that some of these people suffer from abuse mentally, or like I said, sexual abuse or different things. Almost 40% of those people, they end up becoming addicts after they become homeless. Okay. They weren't an addict and then became homeless. They become addicts after they got homeless. So I mean, to each his own. The facts are here. My question is, do you think or should the homelessness right now be criminalized? All right. I love to hear what people's answers are. Hit me up in the comment box, or you can email me. I do respond. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. Remember, knowing is better than believing, okay? Do your own research, do your own studies. We are the illuminated ones. We are the enlightened ones. We are the Illuminati. Peace.